the solution to all of this is more persecution from our country, so that Christians are having to actually decide, is this worth it or not? And is the church actually equipping me for, me being able to decide, do I, am I a martyr, or am I just going to say, oh, actually don't really believe in that much. I'm kidding.
Well,
obviously.
I had to write a paper about that in college.
Really?
Yeah, he set us down and he said, I want you to write a paper for or against if persecution would make the church better. And at the time I was like, no, that's not, no.
Wow,
don't.
I was just kidding. Your professor's sick.
Yeah, well, the idea was a thought experiment.
Okay.
It was to say, to make us look back in church history and say, when does the church really grow? When does the church have its best theology really pushed out? And it's almost always in times of persecution in other countries. Church in China, for example. You're not going to be a Christian unless you really want to be a Christian. You're not going to do it. You're not going to lose your job just over something you don't believe in. You're not going to be able to speak against something unless you really believe in it. So typically throughout history, the church has grown more under persecution as far as not as far as actual people that would declare, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus. Under usually persecution, because at that point it's not like, well, maybe it's a, yeah, no, I am, or no, I'm not, because there's actually some skin in the game. There's something on the table.
Literally.
And I'm not saying that's an easy thing to say, because any of us could be like, oh yeah, you can come in here and put me in jail. But when that actually comes, you're not gonna know until it comes. Am I willing to lose my job over that? That's a minimal thing. Am I willing to lose my kids over that? That's a real question. So, I know it's a joke, but he literally, it was a thought experiment to make us think, what actually grows the church? Is it numbers and events and programs? Because you're talking about bodies, but you're not talking about souls, one. Or is it actual times when people have to say, you're giving something up. Something up. So why? Why are you giving that up then? Because I'm clearly not okay with, I want to do that, but you are, so why? And that gives the people a time to be Jesus, man, I get it. Jobs, family, everything. I get it. Jesus is better. And that goes back to the heart of those letters that were written by the apostles and Paul. You think you want to get beaten and stoned and shipwrecked and left for dead because that's a great idea that makes me feel good. No, it's because he really believed it. He knew that Jesus had risen. He knew that Jesus was coming back. He knew that. Not just some ethereal, logical thought process. He knew it in his bones. And I don't know if I'm even there. To be honest with you, somebody comes in here and beats me to half death and tells me, I can say I know which direction I'm going to go with it, but until that happens, you don't know.
Yeah, we're not really put in the situation to know what we would do if we would fight or flight or whatever. And I think that, being in this country, it's a great country. I love the freedom that we have. I love being able to, have many options of churches that I can go to. But yeah, it does almost become a point of maybe it's too easy. And so people get comfortable and they're just I'll go to church some week, maybe not this week. It's raining a little bit outside, or, I'm feeling a little groggy today. But I think that I've even seen our country now getting injected into the church. And so I'm curious if you have any thoughts on just nationalism in general in the church, where politics come in and America comes in, and it's we're Jesus and we're also fill in the blank with American president, whatever.
One quick thing from the last thing. I'm not saying that I hope for more persecution in America, just to clarify. We can do a lot without persecution. But,
we don't want that.
Just clarify,
Thank you.
Out of context, whatever. But so that's an interesting subject because this morning, I forgot what I was watching something on the news, and it was somebody had a flag, and it was the Christian fish, and then had the flag in the middle, and I'm like, oh, great, there it is again, fantastic. And it's one of those things where I think, again, just because of history, you got to understand a lot of the history as far as the moral majority. When we were growing up, probably, it was the moral majority, Jerry Falwell. I remember hearing a lot of that. It was a whole voting block. It was the whole thing. And I think there's more history behind that, but especially for us, that's a lot of it. When I remember growing up, in my head, it was kind of synonymous. If you're American, you're Christian, that sort of thing. If you're a Christian, you voted this way, kind of thing. Clearly, there's more nuance to that. there's two sides to the Christian nationalism thing, though. One, I think that like everything, it can get way overblown. Like you call everything that now. Like on the other side, conservatives will be like, everything's progressive. Well, not everything's progressive. Okay. I mean, you can find whatever you want when you look for it hard enough. Not everything is progressive. But on the same thing, not everything is Christian nationalism. There will be people that are like, if you have a flag in your church, you're a Christian nationalist. Okay, well, maybe, but also how do they treat that flag, right? I mean, do they just have respect for the country, or do they actually be like, well, if you're American, you got to be Christian? I mean, there's a lot of nuance there, okay? And on top of that, and I know this is sounding like I'm defending it, which I kind of am a little, but like, let me clarify that. There's some people that have grown up like before us that those things were like really entwined in their head. And just like we have some like theology that has to be kind of worked out of us with, again, good discipline, good Bible study, good preaching, for some of them, that's what needs to happen too. So, I mean, again, going back to the preaching the gospel, making disciples, sending them out. Some people simply have never been told that, like, you know, if the person gets elected that's not your pick, that's okay. Maybe that's God doing something in you that needs to be done in you. And it's not like the whole world falling apart on top of you. Because there's people that, I mean, I've had that conversation recently with people, and they're like, okay, it's really hard for me to process it that way, but I get it. Jesus is bigger. Everything's great. He's in control. I get it. I just don't see it. You're not, okay, they didn't see it either. Like, that's the point. If you understand context in scripture and like what our goal as Christians are, it's not to tie those things so closely together. Now, should we be involved in the government? Because I get that question a lot. Like, yes. And if I'm a Christian, yes, I'm going to vote a certain way. Boo-hoo for you. You're going to do the same thing. It's the same thing on the opposite side. So you can call me whatever you want. But if I'm a believer, I'm going to vote certain ways for certain things. I am. But does that make somebody a Christian nationalist or somebody that wants to turn American Christian? Again, I think a lot of this progressive Christian nationalism talk could be understood better if we were to actually talk to one another a little bit, and to be like, all right, so I get that, like, you got the Trump 2024 shirt on and you got your Jesus fish, you know, American flag. Explain that to me. Like, I might have a lot of points of agreement with you, but I need that explained a bit. Why the Jesus fish has the American flag in it.
Well, don't you understand that Trump's hair is in the shape of the Jesus fish?
There's probably a meme there somewhere.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I think a lot of those conversations, and here's the thing that's important too, I think, right? If we're living in community with people, there are people that I go to church with that I totally disagree with politically on a lot of things. Guess what? That's discipleship. That's work. That's living with people in community. You think everybody in the early church, I mean, again, I know we like to romanticize Acts where they had everything in common and gave. Okay, read the rest of the letters. Okay, read the rest of it. So that's what discipleship looks like. That's what like Christians living with other Christians. It's gonna be tense, guys. Mm-hmm. So if you make your whole church, and that's why in some of the sermon reviews, even whenever they mention like we're they won't ever say Republican or Democrat, but they're like lean a certain way, and I'm like, all right. Right away, you're approaching that wrong, because now you're ostracizing half of the congregation, or you're never going to have people that come in your church that are of that other political viewpoint. Yeah. Which, if I was mistaken, that's probably the wrong way to approach the gospel. So yeah, I think to kind of get back without getting back too much, but I think Christian nationalism is a problem for sure in the church in regards to it being tied too close together. But I think that's not good. You're not going to break that apart by yelling at people all the time and being like, you're a Christian nationalist. We're not going to go to your church. Okay, like talk that through then, because in their head, that makes sense to them. It does. Just like my progressive friends, in their head, what they're saying makes sense to them. And they may never change their mind, but I at least want to understand like why they think that way. So with my friends on the other side, that are like, God and country. Okay, fine. Explain that to me though. Like, do you mean like America's the new Israel, or do you mean like God's just blessed us and you have examples of that? Like those are two different things, but like walk that out for me a little bit, because I think we put people in boxes way, 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 way too quick. And then when we put them in the box, we don't even deal with them anymore. We're just like, you're that, and I don't like that, and I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It's stupid.
Yeah, and you would think that with the connectivity that we have today, that you would be more apt and more open to learning and seeing other perspectives. But instead, a lot of times people just choose to follow and to support the things that say the same things that they are already believing. And so, yeah, it creates those echo chambers.
You feel really good in an echo chamber.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're saying what I'm saying? Oh, you're saying what I'm saying? Wow, everybody loves me. This is great. This is awesome.
Hey, y'all, we hope you loved this conversation. Here at Young Married Christian, we are on a mission to see a gospel-centered home made available for every single child in the foster care system. There are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, and there are 400,000 churches in America. Wow. That is crazy. This is absolutely a solvable problem, and we want to be a part of it. If you want to join us in that mission, text the word freedom to 833-370-1610.
833-370-1610. 833-370-1610.
I just did it.
And another thing you can do that is really helpful is to smash the like button on this video.
Smash it like Satan's face. Crush it like it's Lucifer's head.
It really helps us a ton, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel.
That's it.
Smash the like button on this video.